Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome back to another episode of Soulja Talk the podcast. I'm your host, Staff Sergeant McPherson, and on this show we discuss military topics with current and prior service members. Today I'm here with Chief Franco. We're gonna help you guys kind of go through the change of command in brief. So this just to help all my fellow Yankees out there who are going through change of command in brief, or just like Chief, he's about to go on TDY. So therefore, the NCOIC can step up and take command of the change of command in brief if you have a change of command coming up. So the first thing is you want to make sure you have your checklist. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with the checklist. The change of command primary hand receipt hold the inventory checklist, which basically goes through everything that the incoming commander would need to conduct their change of command. So I'm just going to briefly go through some of the things that they will have. They will have the memorandum, where basically is the where the incoming commander signs and the outgoing commander signs, and the PBO property book officer will sign saying when they will start the change of command and when it will end, and basically going through everything that needs to be conducted during the change of command. So then they will need the change of command inventory notification. Can you kind of briefly?
The change of command inventory notification is when it's signed by the battalion commander, notifying all the brigade commander, depending on what kind of unit you are. So in this case, we have the battalion commander in a battalion. They sign for notifying who is going to be the incoming and the outgoing commander on a memorandum for record.
Okay. And the inventory schedule, that's basically when you kind of let the sub-hand receipt holders know when you're going to be conducting the inventory with them. So you want to go through the whole primary hand receipt, basically letting your sub-hand receipt holders know ahead of time when you're going to be conducting their part of the inventory. The assumption of command orders is basically, I'm pretty sure you guys know what the assumption of command orders is, but you're going to need the new assumption of command orders for the incoming commander. They will need the DA, the 1687s. They only update the 1687 for a property book office, right, Chief?
Right.
Okay. The incoming commander will also need their SAR request and their G Army search in order for them to get G Army access for that unit. The inventory certification of completion and closure report.
So that report is a summary of the entire change of command. So it's gonna have how many lanes the inventory, how many quantities, how many pieces. They're gonna have components, how many expendables, durables, shortages, any flippos that occur during the change of command. They're also going to have any FOIs they added to the property book. So basically, it's just a whole summary for the whole entire change of command inventory. That is going to get signed by the battalion, the incoming commander, outgoing commander, reviewed by myself, the battalion commander, and the brigade commander. That gets presented to the brigade commander or the battalion commander at the date of the outbrief with the outbrief slides.
Okay. The next thing is the change of command outbrief slides. You just mentioned that, right, Chief?
Right.
So that gives brief to the who?
To the brigade commander, battalion commander. Battalion commander and brigade commander. So.
Okay. The 100% command directed inventory list, that's what the supply sergeant, well, that's what the NCO can print out far as, well, that you will also need that with the change command packet. And it's basically the entire primary hand receipt along with the sensitive items. The annual durable property management review memorandum, the annual durable memorandum, Chief.
Yes, so that there is the annual requirement that the units have to conduct. So that's a perfect time when they do a change of command inventory. So they validate all the annual durable memos, durables on hand. If there's any shortages or any flippos that come out of that, they need to get annotated, and then we pretty much the commander will validate those shortages. If they're actually true shortages, then or flippos, then they annotate it with the annual durable memo.
The annual tool room inventory memorandum, if applicable, it says if applicable, so that's only if they need it, right?
Right. So the unit, some of the units might have a tool room that is also required separately from the annual durable memo. So if they do have one, they gotta appoint a tool room officer that can inventory that are part of that the tool room, and then appointment orders by the commander, and then have it on file for when they do the inventory annually.
The non-expendable shortage memorandum. So that's basically all the non-expendables shortages that you might have, but they should already be on order, right, sir?
That should be already on order, or any new ones that come due to a bomb change. That, for instance, if a component went from expendable to non-expendable, so that will be a new shortage, and the unit just gotta validate the PBO will provide the shortage, the bomb validated that is a shortage. Also, if it's a shortage due to a flippo or any new equipment, then we just documented the flippo with the non-expendable memorandum. The commander will just acknowledge that it's a shortage, and then we have it on file.
Non-expendable component shortage, annex the bomb or validation.
Yes, so that's part of the memorandum. So the shortage will have it has a supporting document for that memorandum for the non-expendable. So basically it's just continuation of all the supporting documents.
Unit constraint funding for requisition shortages, copy of Excel.
So the unit constraint funding is all your PIMA funded items that is fund by the unit. So some of the units might not have it because they already might have a inbound lateral transfers. So if let's say we don't have any inbound lateral transfers, we just put it on order, and then the unit will just notify, hey, let me know which ones are the ones that we don't have inbound lateral transfers. We source it, and if we can find any excess within the core, then we just put it on put it on order, and then attach it with the memorandum for record.
So, sir, the next one is the bombs publication memos. So what would that be? That's just all the bombs.
Yeah. So depending on the units, the bill of material is the memorandum for record saying the commander what bombs that they utilize, and on the bombs they have the actual also a TM that goes with it. So if they didn't use a bomb because they didn't have a bomb, either they create the bomb on the OSI T code on the bomb components. A lot of the medical units, they utilize the what they call the units assemblages bombs, which they're on the USAMA webpage. That's the most accurate bomb that they can utilize. And if it's not if it's not showing on GCSS Army, when they print out, they kind of validate that. And then the most up to date will be the one in the USAMA webpage for medical units. But then you might have other equipment that is not they don't have a bomb. Like I said, they can create the bomb under the OSI and then do a separate memorandum for record saying that listing what lanes did not have a bomb, and then just document it, sign it. Both commanders will sign that.
Okay. So the adjustment documents, do they have that before they do the change of command or after or prior? I know it's gonna be before they do it, right?
Right. So if the units throughout the change of command, if they submitted AARs, flippos, terminal charges. If they have, I would recommend to wait until at the end. But if they for flippos and terminal charges, but if they have AARs, they can just bring it we process it, and then at the end they had to bring all of the adjustment documents that were done during the change of command, so we have a complete packet, and we can file at the property book level.
Okay. And the last thing is the change command extension in MFR. That's only if you need an extension, and you supposed to be able to conduct the change command within 30 days, but you get two 15-day extensions, which the memorandum have to be signed by the battalion commander in order for you to have those extensions. So I'm gonna kind of go through. We just went through the entire checklist with you guys, just basically letting you guys know what all is supposed to go within the change command packet. And so the actual memorandum of understanding between the outgoing and the incoming commander is basically when the, like I talked about before, where you put the unit who's going through the change command, you put the UIC, their UIC, and their Class 7 DODAC within the blanks. And if you need these memorandums, if you need this memorandum, you can email me or Chief Franco. Chief, you want to put your email out?
Yeah, my email is jose.m.francogomez.mail@army.mil.
Okay.
So if you find me on Global, it's Franco Gomez together, and I'm the only one in Global, Franco Gomez. Franco Gomez on Global.
Okay, and you can also email me, DeAndre, my first name, DeAndre.m.mcpherson.mil@army.mil, if you need these documents, if you need the sample packet, so we can help you guys out. So I'm gonna go through. We're gonna go through kind of the stuff that. Okay, while conducting the change of command, we're gonna kind of go through each step to kind of briefly give you guys an example on how to basically do the change command in brief when you're going through a change command. So we're gonna start kind of briefly go through it, Chief, and explain how would they conduct it.
Yeah, so like we said, the unit has 30 days, like some officials said, 30 days to conduct the inventory once we give the in brief. If the unit needs more time, there's always by regulation, 15-day extensions required. It needs to be signed by the brigade commander. If they don't have a brigade commander, then a battalion commander can sign for it. The incoming commander's responsibility is to ensure all the equipment is assigned and inventory. So it's not the incoming commander's responsibility to kind of fix or any adjustments to the property book. He's only identifying what's wrong and then letting the outgoing commander know to kind of correct the deficiencies prior he's taking over the property book. So it's very important for the outgoing commander to make sure they do those pre-changes of command inventory prior the actual change of command inventory date.
Okay, so while you conducting the actual change of command in brief, say you have a unit and they say, okay, sergeant, whoever, we want to conduct the change of command on this date. So say, okay, so you want to give the incoming and the outgoing commander a day and time where you want to meet at. So far as if you want to meet, say, just want to meet at the company at whatever time. They'll come in and then you'll basically go through the memorandum, just informing them on how long they have to conduct the change of command. And Chief, so did you kind of cover like these steps on basically what they have to do? Like, okay, so
yeah, so like one of the things that I ask the commanders when they come in for the in brief, I said, is do they have an inventory schedule? So it's important to have the inventory schedule ready and published to the sub-Henry holders so they know what lanes in the inventory prior that change of command. So based on the lanes, based on the schedule, if both commanders agree, and then that's when they go and in brief the sub-Henry holders and set times and dates of when they gotta lay out the equipment.
okay,
So it's very important that the commanders relay that information to the sub-Henry holders, and then any sub-Henry holders that are leaving within that time period, they gotta make sure they find this that Henry C holder that is going to be replacing them. So because that way they can inventory the equipment at the same time when the change of commanders are happening. So that way they don't have to double re-inventory the equipment.
Okay.
So it's very important to kind of the commanders talk to the sub-Henry holders on what is the schedule look like when they do the whole 30-day inventory.
Okay. So I'm gonna basically go through it with you guys, just so you know what's on this memorandum. So Alpha, it says the incoming commander's responsibility is to ensure all the equipment assigned to the company is seen and inventoried. It is not the incoming commander's responsibility to fix discrepancies. So that's what we talked about as far as the adjustment documents. So any discrepancies, the incoming commander is not responsible for those discrepancies. So Bravo says the discussion referenced the CSTP program. Transactions will not be completely frozen. However, the only transactions posted to the hand receipt will be transactions that are known about by the outgoing commander, incoming commander, and supply sergeant. Furthermore, no transactions will be posted unless the outgoing commander or the supply sergeant signs for the equipment. So this was you were talking about. They can't freeze the.
Yeah, a lot of times the commanders will say, "Oh, I want my property books frozen." So I tell them, I don't froze the books. I give you the opportunity if you have a equipment that is in a lot of transfers inbound to the unit. I said, hey, I can let you know the equipment is here. It's up to the unit commander if during the change of command inventories, if they have set a time or at the end of the change of command to actually look for the, sign for the equipment, inventory the equipment, sign for the equipment. Then that's when I tell them, okay, I'm gonna post it in your property book. But if you want to wait until you finish the inventory and actually sign for the property, then I will notify the losing unit. Hey, my unit have a change of command. We're gonna have to inventory your equipment until the commander completes the inventory.
The incoming commander.
The incoming commander. So okay. I let them. I kind of put it out there. It's up to you if you want to sign for it or not before or after. Other than that, I don't froze the property book. Now, if it's equipment that is has a turn-in or a lot of transfer, the unit has the ability to turn it in. If the supply sergeant can do it before doing the change of command, by all means, I tell them to go ahead and do it. We can, you guys do the turn-in, and then they can, bring me the documents, and then we post it to the property book. But that's pretty much what I say about, I kind of tell them I don't froze the property book. I let you decide, give you the opportunity, either you want to sign for the equipment or not.
Okay. It says discussion reference developing a realistic inventory schedule allowing for 100% physical inventory of all property, equipment, and supplies on the unit's primary hand receipts. So this is basically the inventory schedule being discussed.
Right.
So says the physical condition of property must be checked during the inventory. Any damage through other than fair wear and tear must be accounted for. So
if they have equipment that is due for turning, so the supply sergeant make sure that they separate if any equipment that is getting ready for turning to the MDRS or any if they don't have an MDRS, if they have an SSA, so they gotta make sure they separate that equipment that is ready for turning, that is on disposition, and that way the incoming commander let them know, hey, this equipment is getting ready for turning. The commander still gotta inventory it, unfortunately, but he's gonna know that the equipment is ready for turning. So they just gotta make sure he needs to know the equipment that is ready,
what condition
it is, and the items. Now, if they find equipment through the inventory that is not on this position, then the supply sergeant gotta making sure that they annotate those that equipment, which equipment is on that is not unserviceable, and then they gotta get all the TIs, the technical inspection ready, and then once they're done with that, they can, after the change of command, they can bring it to us to the PBO so we can create dispositions for turning.
The discussion of the timeline authorized for conducting the inventory completion extension request procedure. So this is what I explained. The incoming and outgoing commander only have 30 days to conduct the inventory, and they get 15-day extension, which have to be signed by the battalion commander. Next is discussion of the outgoing and incoming commander responsibilities to provide and ensure that all equipment shortages are properly identified and on requisition, that all change and relief from responsibility documentation has been submitted to the PBO no less than 5 working days prior to the change of command ceremony. So this is when shortages, you gotta make sure all the shortages that you have, they been identified by the PBO, and you want to provide and make sure those documents been submitted to the PBO no less than 5 working days prior to the change of command ceremony. Discussion of the incoming primary hand receipt responsibilities to ensure that all equipment shortages have been properly identified and that they are on requisition, that all change. This is the same thing, right, Chief? Is effective the primary prior to signing it.
Okay, so the equipment shortages, for instance, if they MTO shortages, they have actual requisitions such as like a lateral transfer, inbound lateral transfer, or if they're not, if they don't have inbound lateral transfers, they need to be on order by the PBO. So any equipment that is short by MTO, if it's not on order, at least it needs to be on a requisition. So all of those have to be have a document number.
Discussion reference the utilization of current item publication references. Ensure all components are on hand and documented on work orders. Remember, there are 2 types of shortage annex: the expendable and durable shortages, which are maintained at the unit and the unit level that the company commander validates, and non-expendable shortages are maintained at the PBO level and validated by the PBO. All items added to work orders annex must be added with relief documentations, field loss, a statement of charges, cash collection vouchers, or flippals. So that's only the flippals and the relief documentation. Those are for non-expendable items, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, if they lost any durables or expendables, if they don't have that, for instance, if it was there but it was present on the inventory but it was lost, then it had to be a flipper for it, for the items that were lost.
And that's durable and non-expendable.
Yes.
Okay. Says note that bomb listing in G Army may contain additional variants for components simply marked non-applicable in the inventory quantity and do not include as a shortage. So I know I went through this prior to a change command where I might print off a bomb and it might have more stuff, more the bomb and what else might say something different, Chief?
The
TM.
The TM, yeah. TM.
So if the TM says one thing and then the bomb might say another, just mark it in a. You want to go off the TM. Go off the TM, right, Chief?
So you go off the TM is just there for pictures. So that way, if they have pictures, so you know what items are there. But if the bomb, if it's not matching, you have to put the NA on it on the bomb.
Discussion reference non-expendable shortage recorded on DA Form 2062. All inventory, all components, and note shortages. If there are additional shortages other than noted on the work orders, you want to ensure they are updated and validated by the outgoing commander and PBO prior to signing. Also, don't worry if shortages are not on order. They don't have to be on order, just validated. If there are no non-expendable shortages found, it must be annotated on the change of command memorandum and will be prepared by the unit and attached to the page of the applicable TM and Fed log printout. The Item data will be validated against the current Fed log data, reference model number, unit cost, and supply class. The PBO is the authenticating authority for non-expendable shortage annex and is responsible for requisition of all non-expendable shortages. So basically what I just said, all the PBO is responsible for all the non-expendable shortages. And the work orders don't have to be some of the shortages don't have to be on order, they just have to be validated.
For instance, some of the medical equipment that have, they get only partial issue for expendables and durables and non-expendables. So if they didn't receive the initial issue from the fielding, from the USAMA, then that means they're probably going to get a STO. It's called a STO. It's a document number from USAMA, so they will get it at a later time. So it is a shortage. However, we have a requisition through USAMA to get it at a later date. So
Units will validate all items marked for good receipt in VLO6I prior to taking command. Unit supply personnel will conduct a reconciliation using ZProstat and VLO6I to ensure all items that have an inbound delivery are processed or supply discrepancy is reported.
So when the supply center needs to go in there in the VLO06I, so in clean it up, what I say by clean it up is by making that reconciliation with the SSA or LRC by going into the warehouse and validating if those items are at the warehouse. If they are at the warehouse, they got to pick it up, PGR the equipment, the document number, and then that's what I mean by, making sure that it's reconciled that with the warehouse.
Discussion references submitting DA Form 4949, which is an AAR utilized to correct any minor serial number discrepancies. DA Form 4949 may be utilized to reduce overall item quantities. So what they mean by they may be used to?
So if we have reduce the quantity, so if we have, for instance, a mask, right? If the masks are the different sizes, we have the right amount, but it's not. For instance, you have 4 larges, but out of the 4 larges, you got 2 smalls or 2 mediums. Or if you want to change the two, like the sizes or the quantities. So that's what it means about the quantities.
Okay. Discussion reference validation of property equipment accountability by use of maintenance documentation must be concise, reference legible item model number, serial number, registration number, NSN, and quantities of items, serviceability, shortages, and quantities. So you want to make sure your maintenance documentation be legible, and so if you have something at maintenance, you turn something in to get maintenance. You want to make sure that documentation is they able to read it. The incoming commander is able to read the NSN, the serial number, and quantities.
Quantities.
The incoming commander primary hand receipt has been provided a current copy of all unit primary hand receipt and inventory to utilize during the change command process. A copy of the unit dollar value listing and due in listing have also been provided. So they supposed to provide the incoming commander with a price list.
Right. Yes. So they can get it from the RCOP. The RCOP in ASAP, you can in there they have what is called, it's equipment material management, I believe. Material management, I think is what it's called. But I know in there you can put your UIC and then it's gonna break it out by SLOGs. Another source that you can do is you go through the BI Launchpad in the property book and G Army. On the property book, total asset visibility, and then in there you put the UIC, and then it's gonna pull all of your equipment, and then once it gets pulled, the total dollar amount, you can add it in that Excel, and then it's gonna give you a breakdown of all your property book with your dollar amount. So it's gonna give you your total pieces, your lien, and your total value.
Deliberate discussion has taken place. Reference how to conduct unit-sensitive items and cyclic inventory to include the regulatory requirement that monthly sensitive items, weapons, ammunition, commo equipment, completion suspension dates may not be extended, and that completion of all procedures have been initiated and all applicable adjustments documents have been initiated, turned into approved and processed by the PBO. So that's basically informing them on what monthly inventories.
Monthly inventories, and then any weapons, ammunition, and then ComSec equipment.
Okay. So that's when you basically so they should already be tracking that.
Yeah, a lot of times the commanders they're not if they're first time taking command, they're not aware of it. So it's good to kind of brief them and explain them the monthly, how you're gonna handle the monthly basis.
So the discussion has taken place. Reference how and why monthly unit primary hand receipts are assigned by the unit command at the PBO for the 44. So for the 44 Medical Brigade, that's our brigade, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So so this is when you just basically explain to them why they conduct them.
Right. Yes. For the monthly, yeah. So that's when we tell the unit, the commander, it's so this is what you have the monthly hand receipt. This is and the commander like he needs to set up a time with the supply sergeant and the supply hand receipt holders for the sensitive and cyclic inventory. So that's pretty much he's saying what's important for accountability, CSDP, and you want to make sure you have all your sensitive item on hand and it's not lost.
Says so. You also want to talk about the monthly requirement to complete the sensitive items. Usually the inventories are due no later than the 25th day of each month, unless it falls on a holiday or a weekend, which then requires completion no later than the 24th. Further discussion took place regarding why there are no inventory extensions granted for the unit sensitive items inventory. So the only inventory you can't grant an extension for is sensitive items.
Right. So you can extend the cyclic or the hand receipt. So, but the sensitive items that the commanders are tracking, you have to conduct the sensitive items monthly.
All TA-50 and OCIE items must be inventoried prior to completing change of command inventories. Incoming commanders will ensure first-line supervisors have completed 100% inventory on OCIE and TA-50 for all E4 and below. E5 and above are authorized to sign an accountability memorandum. All soldiers must have their clothing records updated and signed prior to change command. So I know a lot of commanders don't usually check for this.
No. So that's one of the things that the brigade commander wants us to add it on the closure report because he wants to know how many soldiers the inventory per that unit, and how many were there, how many they conducted, and any issues, any flippos that come out of that.
As if items are in maintenance, the sub-hand receipt holder should have a maintenance request form on hand to show a valid job order for the item. The job order should be verified by the maintenance facility, and if item is on hand, it should be inventoried while it's in maintenance.
Yes, so if equipment is in TMDE, for instance, here in the installation, the unit commander can go down there and set up a time to actually see the equipment if they let them at TMDE. But if it's somewhere that is outside, evacuated somewhere outside the installation, then the unit commander needs to making sure that the maintenance provide a maintenance job order that it was showing what items were evacuated to the to depot or anywhere outside the installation, and that will suffice for the supporting documentation for the change command.
Says discussion of why the signed version of the unit primary hand receipt and inventories are the source of record and the property of the the brigades, and why those documents just not supposed to lead to PBO. Oh.
Yeah, so that's all your supporting documentation, and then the entire change of command packet. So we can, once it's done, we give them provide a copy to the commander, the supply sergeant, for them to keep, and then we maintain the originals at the PBO.
Discussion has taken place reference to all property not sub-hand receipted from the unit commander to the user level is automatically the responsibility of the commanders. Items that are deployed or signed for by external organizations should be physically inventoried if all that possible. At the very least, the sub-hand receipt should be current and, if possible, updated during the inventory.
Yeah, that's when, like I said before, if they hand receipt holders change out, like they need to update the hand receipt. So it is good that they identify that person prior, and they both do the inventory at the same time, so that way they don't have to keep re-inventorying the equipment. Now, if they move again, they're gonna have to re-inventory that. If they, for instance, if the hand receipt holder PCS or ETS, then they just gonna have to do the joint inventory themselves, and the commander just gotta make sure they sign the hand receipt.
Okay. And you want to ask them to provide the PBO a copy of the incoming commander's assumption of command orders and the 1687 notice of delegation. Notice of delegation prior to signing all unit primary hand receipts, monthly inventories, or change of command process will not occur at the PBO. So, in order for the incoming commander to conduct transactions, you want to make sure they conduct transactions at the PBO. You want to make sure they update all those documents, the 1687, and you want to make sure they have assumption of command orders. And it says reference ensuring that the PBO is kept informed of change of command, of change of primary hand receipt inventory, accountability issues, concerns, or questions while the inventory is ongoing. And this protocol after assuming command reference property accountability issues. So this is basically saying that while you conducting the change of command, if the incoming commander has any questions or anything like that, you want to make sure the PBO knows about that.
They reach out to us for any questions, or if they find equipment that is not on the property book, so we can do or search in GRME to make sure that it doesn't belong to anybody in the unit, in other units.
Okay. Says discussion of the PBO open door policy, reference primary hand receipt holders, unit supply personnel, and property accountability, informal training, and guidance opportunities. So what they mean by that, Chief?
The units can, if we are busy or they don't have an appointment with us or anything, so they can just come into the office, and if they have any questions as far as the inventories or any questions about a specific equipment, we can assist them in kind of like, okay, this is where the website you can go. This is how you can find more information about this equipment. Kind of like provide more information to them so they can, we can assist them and guide the commanders for the inventory to make it more easier for them.
Okay, discussion of all summary of all topics listed above was completed during the change of command briefing. All questions, comments, and concerns presented to the PBO were answered to the satisfaction of both the outgoing and incoming commander. So that's the last part of the memorandum, basically saying that if they have any questions on anything, giving them time to ask any questions, so both the incoming commander and outgoing commander are satisfied with what we basically explained to them. So, Chief and I just explained to you guys the change command in brief process. If y'all like these type of videos, just let me know. This was good information, right, Chief?
Yeah, this is good information actually, and then this is just so we can show you how we do the in briefs with the change of command in briefs with the 44 Med Brigade. Certain units or certain brigades or BCTs or battalions, Their PBO might have a different checklist, but some of the same items that we have on our checklist is the same thing that all the PBOs should be having, or some of the PBOs might have already on file. It just give you a little bit about how we do the change of commands within the 44 Medical Brigade.
Okay, there you guys go. This has been another episode of Soulja Talk the Podcast, and I'll see you guys in formation.